Everybody struggles. So why don't we believe each other? You know, I was talking with my buddy and I claimed and I explained that I have ADHD. My buddy looked me straight in the eye and he says to me, there is no such thing as ADHD. If you would just eat the right food, take vitamins, exercise, you would not have any ADHD. It just wouldn't exist. And I found myself actually quite frustrated and offended by that statement. Though I didn't actually say anything. I just took it because I mean, at that time, I definitely didn't have very much, I didn't have a good view of myself. I had a poor self image and a poor view of myself. So I just didn't have the guts to say something. But inside, I was really torn up. I was like, rah, I struggle, I suffer. What? Why did he say that? Because from his context, from his circumstance, from his perspective, there is no such thing as ADHD because he's never had to deal with the problems of learning disabilities and more and more. He grew up in a home and in a family that's very health conscious, and he was taught to eat very properly in the context and perspective that his family was coming from. And he, never got overweight, um, very healthy physically, and does well in life that way. He did very well academically, that kind of stuff. Just never struggled in those ways. And so when he saw me struggling, and then I made the claim that I did, he's like, "Yeah, there's no such thing," and that did offend me. And I think to myself, have I ever done the same thing? I'm thinking about this now, not at the time then. At the time then, I just thought to myself, I'm a victim. I've been treated poorly here. And I didn't put it in that phrasing and that I didn't have those words for it, but basically that is how I felt. That I'm a victim and I've been treated poorly in this moment. And again, we're friends. Still are. There's no hate between us. But I did feel offended in that moment. But the thing is have I ever done the same thing? Where somebody shares something with me, or I come into contact with somebody, or I learn about something, excuse me, and I just assume that whatever thing that I've come to believe or understand about people. Like for me, I do have learning disabilities. And so one of the things that I would often just assume is that if people don't have learning disabilities, they must have it so easy in school, just so easy. And more, they would have it easy in life, that life wouldn't even be hard. I'm learning that is just not true. I used to be a driving instructor, and I taught kids from the wealthy side of town. And as a poor person, I grew up with very specific opinions about wealthy people and wealthy kids. I remember this one person described wealthy kids as snot-nosed wealthy kids, trying to, be offensive to them and say something derogatory about them. That, these kids are just, they're just, they're so pathetic. They think they're so awesome. They think they're just all that. And, and they just don't even care about anybody. And I bought those kind of stories when I was before my job. I bought those stories. I wouldn't say that I necessarily adopted a malice towards towards wealthy people and their kids, but I also believed what was said. I never questioned it. Then I got my job as a driving instructor, and I primarily taught very wealthy people or kids from very wealthy backgrounds, right? Trying to rephrase that because it's like very wealthy people. So I taught a lot of people that came from upper middle class and above, whether they were teenagers or adults. I taught both, and I came to understand that these people had just as much problems as I did. They were different problems, and the problems were just as difficult as my problems. And that was a real like eye opener. That like imagine that you have gotten the best grades, like you just got the best grades in your school, right? Your education, or yeah, I'll just stick with that. And all of a sudden, the school decides that they're going to take some of your grade and distribute it to other kids who haven't got as good a grade so that they have a chance to graduate too, right? You get to graduate. We're not going to stop you from graduating, but we're going to take some of that grade away from you, some of those marks, some of that homework that you did, and we're going to give that to the kids who didn't do very well in school. And I think about really where my mind is going is money. I earned $70 million. And because I have earned $70 million, I now owe poor people who did not earn $70 million. I just owe them because I've made money. It's assumed that I'm greedy. It's assumed that I have ripped people off. It's assumed that I have deceived people in order to be able to get to the point where I have $70 million in the bank. And I've come to realize, and especially when I was teaching those people, that that's a very unfair characterization. Because with my learning disabilities, I've been mischaracterized as well. Like, I must be lazy. I must be stubborn. It's all in my head, and I just don't want to do the work. I just feel sorry for myself. I'm trying to think, like stubborn, refusing to listen, refusing to pay attention, refusing to care. And this really definitely centered around academia or things that I needed to learn. I've been fired from so many jobs for the same reason. I don't learn fast enough. And it's been assumed that I have an attitude that's not there. I'm not being stubborn. I'm not being obstinate. I'm willing to learn. I want to learn. I want to get it so badly. But those who've not struggled the way I have, many times they have assumed those things about me. And it's so frustrating, that assumption. I've done it too. But out of my context, like things that I just don't struggle with. I don't have $70 million in the bank account, so I don't know what the struggles are that come with that. Right now, I'm working. I'm working on YouTube. I've never experienced what it's like to have 250,000 followers and what that feels like. And so, being in this context, I can judge. I can feel like it's okay to judge those who are in that context and how they have it so much better than I do. I'm really coming to understand that their struggle, though different than mine, and they are getting some of the things that they really want, is just as difficult as mine. That the struggles just change. With every achievement comes a new struggle that's just as difficult as the last one. This idea, I've been wrestling with this and just thinking about this. I think that there's an idea here. And what I'm starting to comprehend this idea to be is called, well, I'm calling it charitable skepticism. I think this is an idea to adopt. So I'm not naming the way that we often label each other and judge each other. I'm not doing that so much as an idea to correct an attitude that I have struggled with. And either I'm doing it or people are doing it to me. Charitable skepticism. What do I mean? I think that we should be skeptical of the world around us, of the people around us. Just skeptical. Meaning, I'm not going to just automatically believe what people say or what people get labeled as automatically. So, like, that's a poor person over there. Are they actually poor? Maybe they're living a very wealthy life for their context. Well, poor people are obviously miserable people. Are they? Is that true? I'm skeptical, but I'm being charitable about this. So, like, when I meet a rich person, I'm not going to go, "Oh, well, he's obviously greedy." He obviously got his wealth due to unscrupulous means. Obviously, because he's rich, that's clear, that's obvious. Is that true? I'm going to be charitable in my skepticism. Not so much that I'm going to be like, "Oh, well, I'm going to assume you're a good person because I'm going to be charitable." More like, I'm not going to assume you're a bad person. I'm going to let you convince me. I'm going to be charitable in my skepticism. I am going to be skeptical, but I don't want to assume anything good or bad about you. Because I wish people would not assume about me. Right? So I guess there's a selfish side to this. And I don't believe that if I behave this way, that suddenly everybody's going to just not judge me the way that they tend to do. But at the very least, I'm not going to be doing to others what I can't stand gets done to me. And as I build a community and I build a community of people, that because I have given out this, not treatment, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I've treated people the way I wish to be treated, that will attract more people that will do the same thing. I think that we got to stop just labeling people, because I know myself that at one time it used to make me angry. Like, I really do struggle. Rah! But instead, I've gotten exhausted. I'm tired of having to constantly prove myself. It's almost like I'm a part of that community that wants people to feel sorry for them so that they can get free stuff. No, I don't want people giving me charity or anything like that. Not that. But like a short person. We would not expect someone who is 5 foot tall to dunk in an NBA basketball game. I'm exaggerating. We wouldn't expect that. We would expect of them in relation to their 5 foot tall stature. Imagine being 5 foot tall and actually being able to make it into the NBA. Like, you're such a good player. You ain't dunking nothing. You ain't dunking. But man, you can do so much of other things that really, contributes to the team. I think there was some guy in the NBA nicknamed Mighty Mouse that was like 5'3". I wonder what that was like. I don't want to judge people anymore, because though it doesn't make me angry anymore, it really just makes me exhausted. I'm tired of trying to prove myself and get, I don't want to say treated. I guess I'll say it that way. To get treated in a way that's in accordance with what's true and real about me. And maybe if we did this, maybe like between you and I, that we're not going to judge each other and write each other off, or how do I say this, like condemn each other based on no evidence. You're rich, so obviously this. You're poor, so obviously this. You have learning disability, so obviously this. Or there's no such thing as rich. There's no such thing as poor. There's no such thing as ADHD, right? But instead, okay, you think you have ADHD? Really? What do you mean? Is it true? Is it true that you actually have that? I don't know, but I'm interested. I'm ready to. I'm willing to be convinced. Charitable skepticism. I thank you for listening. I hope this video has been helpful. In a lot of ways, when I make these videos, I think I said this already. I'm speaking to myself as much as I would be speaking to you. I'm wishing people would talk to me and communicate to me this way. Help me understand something. Help me to become better. And I hope that this video has been good for you and done good to you and treated you with respect. God bless you. God be with you. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.